This video is about the work of Victor Regnier, a professor of architecture and gerontology at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. He is a pioneer in the design of non-institutional housing for older, frail people. His design work is informed by research he has conducted in Northern Europe, where many of the world's most innovative care settings were first incubated. The design of housing for older, mentally and physically frail people in the U.S. has come a long way since the 1970s, when hospital-like nursing homes were the only alternatives for older, frail people. Today's housing and service environments for the frail are residential in character and appearance. They use landscape, interior design, and residential detailing to deinstitutionalize and humanize the environment. Professor Regnier's consultation work in the U.S., Canada, and Europe has focused on ideas that make this building type more attractive. The work combines a residential aesthetic with specific services and features that allow frail people to live more independent and autonomous lives. His design ideas are based on the following 7 principles. The environment should compensate for physical disability and mental frailty, ensure privacy as well as stimulate social exchange, facilitate choice, control, autonomy, and independence, challenge residents to do as much for themselves as possible, encourage physical movement and exercise, invite family members to visit and participate, connect residents with the surrounding neighborhood community.
My first publication dealt with research that was conducted, for the most part, in nursing homes. Many of these buildings were constructed in the 1970s, and they were modeled after hospitals, and they were pretty wretched places to live. In those days, people were placed in nursing homes because they had incontinence or memory loss. Not a very good reason to go into any kind of healthcare setting, because those aren't healthcare problems. You know, people with dementia walked up and down the corridors all day. They almost always used double-loaded corridors, and rarely did they have any kind of natural light. Noise was a constant problem, glare was a problem, and of course if people fell, they were hard surfaces, they often injured themselves. Sleep disturbance and noise was a constant problem. And these were places that families didn't want to come to visit. And when they did, there wasn't any place for them to go. The second major book that I wrote came out of this experience of visiting Northern Europe, and when I was there I saw 100 different buildings from 5 different countries, and it was really unbelievable. It was a real eye-opening experience for me and also the people I shared it with. You know, one of the things that they did differently in Europe, instead of classifying their long-term care buildings in hospital use categories, they classified them as residential, and then they linked to them food services, personal care services, and healthcare services. Of course, these environments weren't just residential environments. They were really designed for the physiology and the special characteristics of older people. Residents with dementia were involved in a range of different kinds of activities, setting the table, bussing dishes, even going to shop for groceries. Residents were given choices. They could get up when they wanted to. They could eat when they wanted to, or they could go to sleep when they wanted to. All of these were things that they did on their own schedule, like you and I would at home, and not on some institutional schedule. They encouraged individuals to do as much as they could for themselves and to carry out the kinds of activities that they always did throughout their life. Almost all of the nursing home rooms were single occupied, and people had their own little tea kitchen and bathroom. And when a resident would move in, they'd bring their own furniture just to kind of make the place their own. You know, one of the things that was common over there were these large plant-filled atriums where residents could go in the winter and could exercise. Probably the most important lesson that I learned was that about half of the people that I saw in U.S. nursing homes didn't need to be there. They didn't need to be in a healthcare setting that looked, smelled, and acted like a hospital. You know, my newest book has looked at how all of these European ideas have been embraced and integrated into long-term care in the United States, and also some of the new innovations that have occurred in the last decade in Europe. Although many of the new buildings that we have currently are built to hospital standards, they don't look like hospitals. They're residential in character, and the people that live there really appreciate that. They're places where family members can spend time with their loved ones, with their mother or their father, where they can take a coffee or play cards or watch other people enjoy themselves. We have a lot more dementia buildings that allow residents to live in a protected but yet stimulating environment. Using new technologies, we can have two-story entry spaces, we can have interconnecting rooms, corridor alcoves, we can have all kinds of more open and connected spaces than we had before. We've been able to eliminate that labyrinth of solid corridor walls and then destination rooms. Buildings provide a range of edge condition spaces like arcades and three-season porches, trellis areas, and bay windows. Large windows allow more light to come in, and low sill heights allow you to be able to see the lush landscape on the outside, even from the bed. The spaces are designed to control sunlight better and are much more accessible, even for people in wheelchairs. These buildings use architecture to celebrate and enhance the quality of life for older people. I'm particularly interested in a new building type that I studied in Rotterdam in 1999. It's an apartment and condominium mixed-use building that allows individuals to age in place, and services are brought to them. They don't have to move into a nursing home. The residential building is stacked above a grocery store, and it has a large atrium with all kinds of activities that are open to people who are living in the building as well as people who are living in the surrounding neighborhood. Services like personal assistance and medical care increase as a resident's need increases. The Sterling in Woodlands, Texas is currently under development. It's a condominium development that uses these Dutch aging-in-place principles. It has a communication system that allows residents to be in contact with care coordinators, to schedule needed assistance or to call it if there's an immediate requirement. This allows residents to age in place with a range of services, from apartment cleaning to intensive medical care. A small kitchen that utilizes a compact, informal display kitchen design allows residents to take discretionary meals. A swimming pool and exercise therapy center for physical fitness and for wellness. This newest European approach to aging in place has revolutionized long-term care in Northern Europe over the last decade, and hopefully will do exactly the same thing here in the next decade in the United States.